So watching episodes 7 and 8 back to back was definitely one of the best Komi experiences I've had if comparing both seasons 1 and season 2. I mean, you don't have a narcissist be introduced to the cast and have a picture of my boy Tadano looking at his daily photos that he gets sent by this dude, as you also have one of the lewdest, erotic, and raunchiest episodes towards the end of episode 8. I mean, I thought the fan service was going to be on mostly the female side like you're typically used to with bath episodes, and there was a couple of moments, but for the most part, the JoJo level quote-unquote manliness took over, and bros became a little more than just bros for a time being, and Tadano, who started off so weirded out by taking the photos, got so into it, it was almost like an out-of-body experience for them. These two episodes were very well done. They were wonderfully directed, there was emotional, there was funny, it just kind of tied together, once again, everything I love about Komi without really anything I dislike about Komi being present. You could even look at the boobs joke in episode 8 with, the craziest bitch in the show. The fact that they made it so stupid but so, perfect by calling it so pure, but still having Komi shoot her down when she's so bluntly and straightforward says, can I touch your boobs? Which, if you do know anything about females, they do touch each other's boobs when they're friends. It isn't something that they're pulling from their ass. I mean, I saw more boob grabbing in the hallways of high school than probably I ever thought I would, right? It's just something, especially when you talk to females. It is something that, they compare breast sizes. So the idea of, making into this pure joke, I actually thought worked out quite well. And I love the fact that they then upped the ante with the JoJo meme-worthy bros just flexing and taking photos. It was fantastic. But I really liked episode 7 quite a lot. I thought it was going to be very hard to top or match it because the progression of that episode I thought flowed so well. The first little bit was basically the aftermath of Komi taking care of Tadano, him wondering, was that actually real? Was that a dream? I don't want to bring something up that didn't happen. Seemed like it's a weird fantasy. Her being embarrassed as hell. Introducing the narcissist who, honestly, I didn't think there would be another character who could run with that best new character tag, because after literally having someone who appears to be a giant thug but turns out to be a giant teddy bear, to have someone who thinks he's the main character of this story, and then you have the side character to him just constantly calling out the behavior, was a pretty amazing addition. And I have to say, I was so happy to see that those two were kind of teamed up with Tadano at points in episode 8, because just having someone who just wants to be friends but is constantly being pushed away because he seems so menacing, and then you have someone who, when two girls are hey, can you take a picture? You immediately knew they were asking, can you please take a picture of us with where you're standing? And then he starts posing and stripping, and they just walk away in shame, what the hell is wrong with kids these days? I love seeing these two because I think what the new characters have done such a good job at with season 2 is making them stick out in a positive way without overstepping in super stalkerish ways. Having a trait like narcissism, right? Someone who pretty much gets off looking at their own reflection, thinking they are the main character, the best of the best, everyone loves them, and in fact no one gives a shit about them, sort of a thing. I love that type of personality in a show like this, because rather than it being we're putting down Tadano or we're putting down Komi or this or that, you just have such funny situations, and the dude literally gets pushed away so extreme. And then the fact that you have this simple moment with her handing the handkerchief because he drops it when he gets pretty much thrown out of the classroom. And then just to see the escalation and how they so casually introduce him into the kind of Tadano friend group, because when Komi doesn't switch cell phone numbers, he takes the next best thing and hopes to get closer to Komi, and then unfortunately for him, he ends up getting daily pretty much erotic nude selfies, and I'm oh my god. But I loved it. I love seeing that build up and how they tie it together with that emotional pain, because for Komi, who's surrounded by friends, living a life where you had none up until that point, it's something that's going to cause even a little bit of PTSD. The fact of not really getting picked for groups and feeling like you're being pushed away. You can't even tell if they liked you because you didn't have the nerve to look them in the eyes. So to have Tadano be the person who's there for her, saying, if that scares you so much and you don't get picked, let's just skip out. Let's go there ourselves. He's just such a great person, and you can tell the best connection for her. And then, of course, you knew everyone was going to compete for her group, right? Because she is so popular. But you understood the fear and where she was coming from, especially tying together with a backstory moment. And then to actually see the trip and, the tour guide, who I thought was a fantastic slight addition. I don't imagine we'll ever see the tour guide again after this trip. but the idea of just get married already was probably something the viewers were thinking for some time. And the idea of just the casual flirting and seeing how no one gave a shit about the tour guide. And, I kind of felt bad for her at first, but I love the fact that she remembered her own kind of like past where on her school trips, no one cared either, but she was the one who was eagerly listening. So for her, if Tadano and Komi are paying attention, that's more than enough. And then it just kind of all got better for her afterwards. But then just like the pillow fight, the bathing, and everything else, like this show knows how to be extreme, lewd, hilarious, cute, wholesome, and honestly a little bit of everything else. And I love seeing just like how much characters were bonding on this trip, even if, some images showed us like, oh god, are they getting drowned, or are they going to stab a fool, like what's going on here? It was just a great couple of episodes that really brought a grin to my face and honestly in some ways rejuvenated my love for Komi, because Komi's one of those shows that I do think is better in a binge than a weekly watch, but given the fact that I covered part 1 or season 1 kind of week by week, I wanted to do the same for this one. But I'm pretty convinced that if this does get more episodes, I won't cover it on a weekly basis because I just feel like it does work better in a binge. But given the fact that we still had 4 more episodes after I caught up with it left this season, it was a little like, man, I just kind of wish I could binge it. But I'm glad that these last couple of episodes really made me excited to talk about it more on an episodic basis. So I'm not going to feel kind of like I'm winding down by the time we reach episode 24 as a whole here. And I'm glad that this show is just continuing to find new ways to introduce fun personalities, not go super extreme with those personalities, but just make them fit for this wild, wacky bunch of weirdos. Really, I think this anime season has done a great job at spicing up what you're typically used to seeing when it comes to fireworks, school trips, all those other different things. And I think Komi does a good job with playing around with those kind of like typical settings because you do have such a wide variety of characters. You literally have more personality traits than most shows airing this year. Like, you can't have a ninja, a knight, and a narcissist all part of the same group and have it not feel out of place. Komi is one of the rare cases that can make that work out. So to have them go on a school trip and seeing the different variety of personalities, the groups of threes who didn't want to be a part of each other, or in the case of Komi, 2 people who normally would never have screen time and just wanted to make Komi have a great trip overall, and they kind of had this unofficial bond form. It was just great, and honestly, out of the 2 episodes, I couldn't pick a favorite. I mean, for the first little bit of episode 8, I would have sided with episode 7, but by the time we reached the finish line, I mean, they basically flowed together as an equally perfect set of episodes that I really wouldn't change a thing about. It made me laugh, it had wholesome, it had sad moments, and they introduced another character that could compete for Best New Character title, and I love the fact that they actually teamed up together with Tadano towards the end of episode 8. But yeah, I'm excited for more Komi. We'll see where it goes with the last 4 episodes of this season, and we'll see if they announce another season down the line. But thoughts down below, whether if you're talking about episode 7 or 8, the trip, the emotion, whatever you're feeling, let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.